Welcome all. Today is a great day. It's Sunday morning here. I'm talking from London, Ontario. Not the London in UK, but this is the London in Canada, London, Ontario. My name is Varagunan Mahadevan. It's a long name. I'm a family physician working as a GP here. You call it GP in Sri Lanka. And I'm also an assistant professor at one of the universities teaching family medicine. So we've been doing these webinars for the past, I think this is our 8th webinar in this series. These webinars are conducted by like-minded friends. There is no political affiliation, no religious affiliation, and no commercial affiliation. And this is basically organized by our friend Mr. Yogavardhan, who is sitting in Norway, who is the CEO of the Rose Villa Heritage Homes in Udaville, Jaffna. And our great friend Niranjan, he's the man behind the Jaffna Managers Forum. So welcome you both, and welcome everyone who is present here. We're going to have a lovely evening, and I think it's a nice evening in Sri Lanka. We have lots of participants from Sri Lanka. So a few housekeeping rules. I have the most unpopular job here to do. The one is to keep up the timing. So I'm going to be very strict with the timing. There will be a sound, there will be an alarm coming when your time is up. You can actually take a minute or two after that. The other thing is I'm going to be the moderator. So how we are going to do, we have great speakers here. We have very honorable and distinguished speakers here. Today it's going to be the indigenous medicine, or I would say the holistic approach to the health and how this is shaping up in Sri Lanka, and especially in the northern part of the Sri Lanka, how we can economically, sustain these holistic medicines. And as a Western medicine practitioner, there is a big misconception in the public, among the public, saying that the Western medicine and the indigenous medicine, they are competing with each other. That is the common notion. It's a big misunderstanding. Let me clarify here. The medicine, it should be holistic, whether this is Western medicine or is it Ayurveda, is it Siddha or Unani. It should be complementary to each other than competing with each other. I'm a strong believer in that. With that note, we are going to jump straight into the program today. Let me welcome Professor K. Velauthamurty. He is from the Department of Chemistry, University of Jaffna. He's going to give us a nice welcome address. Professor Velauthamurty, all yours. Yogavardhan is Professor.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you very much. Good evening, all of you.
We can't see you, Professor.
No,
your video is off.
Yes. Yes, I have a problem, so that's what I have switched on that video.
Yeah, we can hear your voice clearly, so yeah. Please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you very much for the kind introduction. It's a great pleasure to be here on this occasion to give you the welcome address for this webinar on traditional medicine and holistic treatment in Sri Lanka. A warm word of welcome to everyone. Being an inorganic chemistry professor, someone may think what sort of connection I have with the traditional medicine. Of course, I have worked in nanotechnology, advanced organometallic chemistry, my PhD at the University of Liverpool, United Kingdom, where I was born and brought up in the environment of indigenous medicine. Because my father, grandfather, great-grandfather, all of them are famous Ayurvedic doctors in Northern Province. My grandfather wrote a lot of Ayurvedic books, especially in Siddha. Therefore, is making and Siddha medicine, especially this Siddha drugs, is a piece of cake for me as far as the procedures and the way they are making the medicines is concerned. My ancestors, especially my grandfather, they used to prepare drugs and purification, especially about the herbs, chemicals, without knowing the real chemistry. So when I have free time, I used to go through these old written handbooks of my grandpa and my father, especially the printed books as well. So according to his notes, that he learned these techniques from his guru and his father. Sometimes I wonder how, without knowing the real chemistry, they managed to do such these things, especially in the distillery part. For example, if you take the purification of mercury, gold, arsenic, cadmium, simply I'm going to explain how they used to do the purification of mercury. My father, before starting the purification of mercury, he used to take out these gold rings from his fingers because it will get corrupted as far as his knowledge is concerned. Because as I told you earlier, he don't know the real chemistry behind that. So normally he used the carbon dust, turmeric powder, and brick to ground it for several hours and make it purified. And finally he washed that in the water and make it purified. After that he used to wear to deal the mercury. So only he knows after the purification of these things that mercury won't react with the gold. Actually, the reason behind that is it won't form the amalgamated compounds. So that's a real reason behind that. So similarly, he used to purify even some herbs, real chemicals, without knowing the real facts. So actually, after becoming the lecturer in chemistry, I love to do the research in this area. Because of my PhD, I left the country. Once I returned to Sri Lanka, I used to write research proposal for these type of works. In 2016, along with Dr. Shivashan Maharaja, at the time he was the head of the unit of Siddha medicine, we got a funding for this type of research work. Two research assistants worked in this area, and we have tested many drugs before and after the purification. That's the main target of our one. The metals were carefully analyzed with the simple methods in labs and also with the advanced analytical techniques such as X-ray photoelectron spectroscopy. Where these X-ray electron spectroscopy used to give minute changes in the chemicals as well as the compounds. Even we can test with the oxidation state of that one. So that was a very successful project. Similarly, we did a lot of research work in Siddha drugs and natural plants as well. Well, I think that I have gone on long enough and I need to leave you now. Over to you, Dr. Varagunan. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Velauthamurty. That was very eye-opening, and thanks for the welcome address.